We should be just about live right now for the first time in a long time. Let's see if anybody ends up joining up. Cool. Awesome. Alright, so we're live. I'm gonna kind of bullshit a little bit until some people kind of filter in a little bit. Anybody, and that'll be great. Because, I don't want the dashboard. Yeah, because, I don't know. I know we're not doing it on our normal channel. Hey, Mina. Some people kind of filter in a little bit. Anybody, and that'll be great. Because, wait a second. I don't want the dashboard. Is my volume really that low? Hey, Bernice. Hey, Lexi. Good to see everybody. Sorry it's been so long. Just got back from Memphis on Monday. And that was fun. That was a whole lot of fun. Got to hang out with Perfect Cosplay. We got to hang out with Red Skull Alliance Cosplay. I think it's Crisscross Cosplay. Got to see a bunch of people that we haven't seen since Memphis CFC at Mid-South Con, and that was really nice. Also got to meet a few people, a few of you guys. A few of the regulars from here. Hey Sherry, hey Wraith, hey Stacy. It's good to see everybody showing up right on time. I can't seem to access my Facebook page on my PC, which is great. So when I go through Chrome, I cannot make any changes to or post directly to my ooh, I almost turned off my monitor. My Facebook page. So I'll sort of have limited responsibility. Interesting. Hey Jazzy. I will have limited ability to respond through the Loki Hates You fan page on Facebook because the mobile app is just not as good, but it's my only option right now until Facebook undoes one of the many stupid changes that it's decided to do to itself. I don't know why, but I keep getting the brunt of it. I don't see anyone else complaining about it, so maybe I'm the only one. So that sucks balls. But I got a really sort of involved question today in my inbox on Facebook, and I figured I would give that question. Hey Mata. I figured I would give that one question kind of the special treatment as far as dedicating today. Hey Kat, as far as dedicating the time today instead of like answering all the questions that have come in through Tumblr. Hey Andrada, hey Pam. Because it's coming from somebody who's in sort of a tricky place in their life, and I feel like it just needs to be given a little more TLC than the typical question. So I won't read the whole thing because it is literally paragraphs long, but it's from Eric on Facebook, and he said he's been watching for a while, and that hey Candace, and that he's been undergoing some problems. He's got a surgery coming up. He was homeless for a while. There's just a bunch of stuff going on in Eric's life. And he's kind of beating around the bush a little bit and saying, I've got a cosplay I've been wanting to do for a long time. And he doesn't even say what cosplay it is, but it's apparently very near and dear to his heart. And it comes down to, he wants to know how someone breaks into cosplay. He uses the term break in, which I want to address. And then he basically says he doesn't have a lot of resources. So even buying the materials to start working on for himself would be tricky for him. Never mind, commissioning is out of the question. So he's sort of asking for tips on how to pull a costume together without a lot of money, and without you know, going through the normal channels, and he sort of brings up, like, is there a way to, like, work for trade, where, like, he could make props for someone who makes a costume, and then da-da-da-da. And I can't really, oh, man, I want to read a couple sample, the question I've been trying to get you're somebody in the scene that I really respect, and I thought you might know. Been trying to put together, and he says, I've been trying to put together a ... cosplay for a long time. So immediately he's off to kind of an unsure start as far as, like, I don't even want to call it a cosplay, which is tricky, but he doesn't elaborate on what exactly it is. I've been trying to put this together for some time now. Only the one. I have a bizarre emotional investment in it that I'm not going to get into because it'd kind of kill me if you ran away screaming. But it's very important to me, and I have many friends who go to con, etc. But I'm waiting on some medical problems. Went from being totally able-bodied to being sick. A bunch of spinal taps. That's no fun. Surgery will be very risky. Okay, so it comes back to he and his wife were homeless until the end of December. Built and improvised a lot of props, things I used to build robots. Okay, so he used to be a mechanical engineer of some sort. I can't ever get ahead enough to put anything towards this kind of materials. I couldn't even dream of paying somebody. I was even uninsured until 3 weeks ago. I can't seem to figure out what the hell to do. I'll never get there $10 at a time, and I kind of don't want to get sicker and lose my chance. So how does one break in? Are there people who do materials in exchange for promotion? I do pretty much anything at this point. It's really a lot of what keeps me going, to be honest. But it's a catch-22, and ironically, it's all about money. I build props for people on my good days, but I don't have a very wide sphere of influence. I guess I just wanted to ask for advice. I've been to one con in my life many years ago. I really don't know anyone. So basically, he's in a desperate situation. And let's see, who do we got? It's new. Hey Fatima. Hey hey Mojo Baby. Hey Merak. Good to see everybody. So basically, Eric is in a really desperate situation in his life in general, but he's also drawn to having the hobby of cosplay in his life, which he's also seems to be conflicted about. And I guess the real first thing I want to talk about is that when a lot of people approach cosplay from going from zero to wherever they want to be, there seems to sort of be this desperation and this I don't know, this sort of like star blinded thing where everyone thinks they're gonna jump into the cosplay scene and their life's gonna change, and it's not gonna change. This isn't beginning your acting career. This isn't your first step towards being a professional stand-up comedian. To be involved in cosplay only means that you have a hobby, an expensive hobby. So there's nothing to be nervous about as far as what other people are going to do in response to you cosplaying. Cosplay isn't about fans. It's not about sponsorship. It's like you're literally just wearing a costume to a convention, and that's it. Like, people may not respond to it at all. You may never have anyone say anything to you. The idea is to build and wear this thing because you are drawn to do so. In the same way that a person collects action figures. Those figures only exist. Merrick, I also hope his surgery goes well. That's hopefully implied. it's like someone who collects all these things and they keep them in their house. They only exist in that house, maybe in that room. If you got a bunch of Beanie Babies or action figures, you got a bunch of trains, whatever you're obsessed with, you keep it in your home and it sits there for you to enjoy. Just as a cosplay, you build it, you sew it together, you perfect it, you work on it over time, and you enjoy it on your own, really. I mean, and if other people are enthusiastic about what you're enthusiastic about, then good. Like, that's a great side effect, but the aim should never be, well, I want to make sure that my, like, Facebook page really hits the ground running, and, you know, like, if you want to be a model and the venue or the avenue you want to go down is cosplay, that's a little bit of a tougher like call. You've got to, you know, basically put together a presence as a model and then work on your costume presence from there. But as far as just wanting to do a cosplay for yourself, just do it. Hey, Black Tiger. So let's get started on exactly, let's say he's got the idea in his head that he wants to make a costume. And he doesn't care whether or not this costume gets him anywhere in life. He just wants to do this costume. Oh no, Crystal Wolf, I'm so sorry. Sorry about the audio thing. Hi. Hi, Crystal Wolf. Hi, Crystal Wolf. I hope she saw that. So basically, I think the thing that's sort of holding Eric up is that he thinks he needs to build a high quality costume. He thinks he needs to, like, create a replica of whatever the character that he seems somewhat abashed and, like, a little ashamed of, which isn't a great start. He needs to just find the most economical way. Cardboard. You can get cardboard out of dumpsters. Build it out of soda bottles. Build it out of, I mean, you can get found shit. You can find shit all over the place that nobody cares about. You can go to your local grocery store and ask them for cardboard from their produce section. Banana boxes are very sturdy, and you can make a great, like, robot out of it or something. Yeah, exactly. Goodwill. I mean, he specifically says he can't come at this $10 at a time. You can come at this $10 at a time. Are you going to end up with the most polished looking costume? No. That's absolutely not going to happen. And that's, you know, unfortunate, because not having money sucks, and, you know, there's no way to just manifest money or a job or whatever it is that you need in your life. But you can manifest the idea that you're trying to convey. There are things around that you can use. I don't care if you're tearing the branches off trees and using that. Hey, KT Hunter. Like, you can do it. You can do it. And still, you're going to need to buy some supplies. Spray paint. It's not that cheap. But maybe that's your expense, and the rest of it is literally shit you dig out of a dumpster. I mean, it sounds shitty to have to do that. And it's hard to just say Fatima. Is it Fatima or Fatima? He also said my name wrong, but whatever, it's a complicated name. Let's say Fatima then. What do you think of the people who do cosplay? People who do cosplay are great. Just, we're having that conversation kind of already. So, I guess what I would say is, like, as impossible as it sounds to approach this on unlimited unlimited funds, if it's the only option you have, then you got to use it. There is no artist who will create a costume for you on trade. There is no artist who will give you their services for free. There is no costumer, there is no prop maker, there is no anyone who's not already a close friend of yours who is out there looking for labor in exchange for their own labor. The barter system is not how our capitalist society works. And believe me, I had this same question when I started putting Loki together. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, Marie McSneaky Peek. Hobby that requires... Yeah, Marak, it is. Hey, Chris. I mean, honestly, the first analogy I thought of when I was trying to think of a way to address this question was... Cosplay's, kind of like sex. It's, you know, you have a bodily urge to do this thing. It doesn't need to happen. You're not gonna die if you don't. But, really, you can do it on your own. It's not gonna be as great as, you know, if you had a whole bunch of people doing it with you. But, at the end of the day, like, you can get it done, and it'll be fine. You'll satisfy that need, and, you know, it may not solidify you as a famous person for doing that thing, but, there's only one way to take care of it, and that's to lay your own hands on it. So, you gotta get in there. And it might get a little dirty. It might be a little weird to look at. Might even be a little off-putting for people. But it's between you and yourself. Hey Tim, thanks. I appreciate it. That is one of my favorite Nerdbot videos. Just get a little bit done. Even if it's, you know what, I want to be Link. I want to be Link from Legend of Zelda. If I get a green t-shirt, some brown pants, and I find like a dollar store foam bat and I shave it down to kind of look like the blade of the Master Sword, you know, people understand what you're talking about. Hey Celine, is my haircut lighter? Only slightly. It's not that much shorter. Exactly. So Stacy, that's actually something I totally skipped. Is that cosplay should be your last priority in life. Your hobbies, very satisfying. Do not dedicate time and resources to your hobbies when you have higher priorities. If you're sick, get unsick. Being able-bodied is more important than being entertained. You got to pay your rent before you pay for a bunch of material at the fabric store. You got to pay for your groceries before you go out and buy a bunch of foam and glue and scissors and con passes and travel expenses and hotel rooms. You have to take care of yourself before you start like scratching the various itches that have to do with your passion projects. You get the limited means, struggles, time. However, if you're... Celine, I have seen the Deadpool movie. I enjoyed it. What was I going to say? However, if your current status in life leaves you with a large pool of time, that's your golden ticket right there. If you're kind of sitting at home in a chair a lot, figure out some activities that you can do with cheap materials and the tools you have on hand to do while in a chair. And you won't you won't have to go out and sit there and get a wood shop or a machine shop where you got like table saws and junk. I mean, I work on a coffee table in a room, like when I work on props, and it takes a long time for me to make anything, but gotta work with what you got. Yeah, KT Hunter's got a good point. Start simple and improve it a little at a time. Save up for the bit you want next. Take advantage of the 40% off coupons at Joann's. Also a very good idea. Subscribe to the Joann's email letter. They're a little irritating sometimes to get them every single day, but at the end of the day, when you end up in Joann's, might save you 30-40 bucks. So, okay, we've talked about that and that. I've compared it to sex. That's great. What else is going on? So, Net's going to be down there in June for LA Cosplay Con. Should be a blast. She'll bring more games down. Awesome. Well, thanks, Tim. Cosplaying can be expensive, but if managed, can be fixed. Yeah. So, Eric, work on it slowly. Take care of yourself first, but make incremental progress on your costume. The fact that what really kind of bothers me about this is that you seem to be already in a place where you don't like the costume choice that you're drawn to. You have to be proud of it. If you're going to wear it in public, I mean, if it's something you think you're going to get a little shit for, you might get a little shit for it. And by might, I mean you're going to. Like, someone's going to yell something rude at you. It's going to happen. People yell rude things at me. It's not super often, but it does happen. If it's going to crush you, and you're going to have a life problem about it, it might be better to do, like, if it's a My Little Pony thing. I know some people have, like, sort of, you know, they love the fandom, but they don't like to admit it or whatever. There's a certain amount of shame surrounding whatever it is they like. You know, maybe go for some ponies only gatherings. Was PGC glad for me to be back? Yeah, she warmed back up to me. She was a little mad when I got home. What did Pam say? Yeah, chronic illness is tough. And I mean, it's a life ruiner, honestly. To have something that you're not able to change willingly is the worst feeling in the world. To feel bad and to not be able to escape from that feeling is just, I mean, there's nothing worse. It's a prison. Your body's a prison, and you can't break the chains. You can't break the bars open because it's your body, and everything you break, you're stuck with even more. Like, so, Eric, I know that you're apparently in surgery today, probably right now. But if and when you do get a chance to watch this, integrate your process into your recovery process. Recovery comes first. Self-care comes first. All those normal life-sustaining priorities come first. After that, it's making whatever costume you can make. And after that, it's making whatever you can make better. And that's all you can do. Whether people like it it shouldn't be a huge priority for you. Whether you feel like you've broken onto the scene with enough momentum isn't gonna be a thing. I mean, if you become someone who's popular and there's a demand for you, you will be forced to create a social media presence, and that's just how it is gonna happen. Like, I had people friending me on my personal Facebook thing, and it was a pain in the ass, honestly. I had all sorts of strangers posting shit that I didn't know anything about, and eventually I just made the fan page, and it made my life better because I didn't have to deal with it. Cosplay can be expensive, but if you manage to use a fixed income you can afford within your budget, you can achieve incredible works of living art. It's a little inspirational, Chris. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to make a costume that you're proud of for about a day and a half, and then you're going to see some pictures and be like, wow, I really could fix this and that and the other thing. But the thing is, you're not stuck with it. If you made that costume cheap, then you can make the second version of it cheap as well. And the more you learn about the materials that you can find and work with for cheap or free, the better. Do not approach artists. Do not approach artists to work for trade or for principal, for promotion, for free. They will not do it. You will not hear anything from them. They're going to get frustrated with you and end up humiliating you. I've seen a lot of artists take a lot of the stuff from their inbox and say, can you believe these guys are asking for free work? And they'll put your name online. They'll put you on blast and say, you know, keep an eye out for this guy. He's trying to get free work out of artists. As they should. To approach somebody who's spent time and money developing a skill set and say, I want your work, but I don't want to give you anything in exchange is an insult. So they develop their skill set through a passion, and so should you. A painter is just a person with a hand and a brush. Assuming you're also a person with a hand, a brush isn't that far off. You just gotta take it one step at a time. Sculptor, same shit. Like, the clay isn't the expensive part. The expensive part is spending the time learning how to understand form. Choose something that makes you feel good. No, you can always improve it. The best part of any costume is the attitude which one wears it. That can be true. But there's also some costumes that are effortless to wear because they are themselves a spectacle. So I wouldn't say that any costume is defined by the attitude with which it's worn. Yeah, Tim, we did have a great time in Memphis. It was definitely a life-changing experience. I keep an eye out for a lot more photos coming your way. We're just waiting for some of them to come back. Sometimes to have something that you can work towards get you moving. Yeah, it is a hobby. It's therapeutic. The costume shouldn't be a stressor. The costume should be the stress relief. My issue is I have zero talent. I actually ruined a lot of materials trying to figure out how to make my costume. Pam? Everyone has. I mean, I've wasted hundreds of dollars in material. I mean, the thing is, I find that it's when I'm hasty, it's when I want to get it done on a deadline that I end up destroying valuable materials. If you get foam, buy an extra square foot and use that extra square foot to just really wail on. Go too far with it. Use your heat gun until it melts. Use the wrong type of glue that people told you not to use. You know, that's what swatches are. That's what samples are. They're just things. They're just things that you can do the wrong thing to. Fabric. You know, cut out an extra square foot of fabric and just use your sewing machine in the wrong direction on it. And then you figure out what the right direction is, and when you go to actually commit to, you know, using or making your pattern and sewing it up, then you know how not to ruin it because you've used your swatches. My issue is okay, and you do have talent. You just haven't dug into it. You got to work hard. Talent doesn't present itself to you. It has to be cultivated. You have to plant the seeds, and you got to water it every day, and you got to till the earth, and you got to struggle for talent. Budgeting can be a pain in the ass sometimes, where my cockatiel eats better food than I do. It's true, yeah. Which is, again, why I'm saying go to the supermarket. Ask for whatever garbage they have. Commercial businesses throw away more building materials than you will ever own. Your Kroger down the street throws away hundreds of costumes worth of cardboard and plastic wrap and just everything. Containers that are the shapes you need to make the gauntlets you're going to build. Like, the recycling bin is a great place to get things that are good for costumes. Am I working on a project in the bathroom in the background? Yeah, I got my toolbox up there. The project I'm working on right now kind of complements the muzzle that I showed you guys last week. It's not going to be ready for WonderCon, unfortunately. There's just too much stuff going on. I also redid my little tie tack for presidential Loki. I remade this little guy. So I had to make him last night. So I mean that was literally made from one of the scraps I have of some of the other building materials that I had from the muzzle and whatnot. And I mean I've got clay over here that I've never done anything. I've done a bunch of first drafts of sculpted stuff and then I always give up on it. So that clay has yet to pay off. It's a perfect example of, you know, KT Hunter, message retracted. Muslin models. Yeah, muslin is the perfect example. It's a cheap material. People are always asking my husband for free art. Pay after their project hits big. Yeah, exactly. When I first came to LA, I started looking for jobs on Craigslist, and there was a dude who was like, oh, I've written a script for a science fiction show, and I need help doing storyboards and character designs and all the concept art and stuff. And at the time, I was just looking for anything to put in my portfolio. So I was like, listen, man, like, I don't have even a place to live yet. And I had printer paper and a pencil. And I was like, I can sketch character design concepts for you. But that's about all I could do. And so I did. I gave him free art. And, you know, just so I could use it for myself. And it got to the point where this guy was a bullshitter, and he was like, oh, well, I'm meeting with the vice president of Sci-Fi Network or something like that. And he was like saying he was meeting with like some huge guy, but he wasn't. And I just had to level with the dude and be like, listen, if you want to pay me, I'll be happy to go out and use 100% of what you pay me to go out and buy the scanner, get on my feet, and, you know, probably still work, but I can't just go out and invest in your script that you wrote, and it got to the point where I had to be like, hey, your script sucks too, just so you know. The dude had written basically Firefly. It was a ripoff of Firefly, and the ship that was the Serenity was called the Rogue Star, but he didn't know how to spell, so in the script it was repeatedly called the Rouge Star. And I was like, so before you go and yell at me about how these character designs look unfinished and you're gonna be embarrassed showing it to like this president of like a major television network, you might want to go and use spell check first, because the fact that you don't know how to spell your own, like, the names of your settings is gonna be more embarrassing than the fact that I have shitty character design, unfinished character designs for you. How is everyone seemed to like the presidential Loki. I'm gonna be pushing that hard for the next couple months, with all the Trump stuff that's in the news. I'm hoping presidential Loki is gonna get a lot of positive response. But there was nobody that was mad about it. If that's, you know, if that says anything. Is your neighbor still in Denmark, or is he home now? You know, he actually came to LA for a couple of weeks, and I think he's back in Denmark now. He was just visiting, checking in on his storage unit and stuff. He's hoping to come back to LA at some point in the future. Since everyone was talking about the illness earlier, someone suffers from bipolar, OCD, schizoaffective. Just because you have an illness doesn't mean you're helpless. Illness can be treatable with the right amount of medical help or treatment. Yeah, Chris, you're right. I mean, you shouldn't feel defeated. But it's hard not to, honestly. To have your body not cooperate with what you want to do, it's hard not to feel defeated, and it's hard not to feel like you can't do anything. But hopefully keeping your hand moving on something that you enjoy doing helps to take your mind off and helps to make you feel accomplished. Coming out about Loki 2016. That's correct. That is exactly what the presidential Loki costume is based on. So, you know, we're hoping that goes well. What else? Okay. So Eric, I wish you good luck. Don't go asking artists for free work. See what you can find. Go out to your garbage dumpster, find whatever clean. Don't get anything that's covered in sludge or dirty diapers or anything, but just, find what you can and use that. Invest in maybe an X-Acto knife, some masking tape, and what else? Maybe some bottle of E6000. That'll get you a good amount of the way. So is the work for NerdBot all volunteer? Do you get a few perks? It's all volunteer, Tim. It's all that stuff is in my free time. I like the guys from NerdBot as well as the guys from NerdCon. So any participation that you see me endeavoring into is all my time. You did a good job of emulating Loki's suit and headpiece. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, Eric, get well. I hope we're all wishing that your surgery is complication free and everything heals up as it should. That is, thanks, KT. So let's talk about expectations. As we had a great time in Memphis, I got to see, of course, like I said, Perfect Cosplay, Red Skull Alliance Cosplay, Crisscross Cosplay. I got to see the guys who organized Memphis CFC. They're super nice guys. I got to see Candace. I got to see Amada. I got to see Kristen. I have received, since Memphis, several messages entailing that I was very, very harsh to someone. And I'm not sure why. Oh, Celine, I deleted Snapchat because I never used it. I never used it much at all. So, Loki for what is your idea to? The Loki for President thing. It was my idea, but it was sponsored by Perfect Cosplay and Red Skull Alliance Cosplay. So, big thanks to them for sponsoring that. Anyways, but as I was saying, I want to make it clear to everyone and anyone that if you buy a ticket or a pass to a convention and I'm there and you come there, and I'm there, or any cosplayer that you're excited about, any guest at all, if Stan Lee is going to be there, if whoever you love is going to be there, you are buying a pass to the entire convention, the whole thing. You are not buying a pass to have a weekend getaway with your favorite personality. It doesn't matter if you're into a cosplayer who has 20 followers on Instagram and you're just the person who's their one and only biggest fan. You're the only one who cares about, like, a cosplayer cannot be guaranteed to spend a ton of time with you. No, the diadem was made literally the day before I got on the plane by me. The crown and the little tie tack were pretty much all that needed to be made, as well as the vector art for reprinting the Loki 2016 sign. That's about all I had to creatively do for that costume. Anyways, so anybody who's buying a pass to NerdCon, to NerdBotCon, to San Diego Comic-Con, to WonderCon, to anything where they're hoping to see myself, ThorTV, any cosplayer, any performer, any YouTuber, you may bump into that person. You'll get a picture, you'll get a hug, you'll get a short conversation. please do not expect to spend an entire weekend with the person that you came to see. It's a lovely idea, and I'm sure that everybody wants to give credit where credit's due and show respect for all the enthusiasm and stuff. But in my case, gifts, like, you guys have been so generous. You've sent me thousands of dollars worth of stuff. Like, I don't even know. It's I can't even calculate it at this point. I try to make time for everybody, and when it comes down to the end of the day, if I am going to have the peace of mind of knowing I'm going to get a night's sleep tonight, I have to go and do that. I have to eat my meals. I have to get sleep. I have to maintain my costume if something's falling apart. I have to stay within my budget sometimes. Sometimes that's the expectation is, oh, well, we're going to drive across town and go get steak somewhere. And it's like, well, of course I can't do that. I can't go out and buy a $50 steak with you guys tonight. I know it's like, I know you came a long way to be here or whatever it was, but like, I don't have a ton of resources to keep, like, you know, renting cars and getting, and that is kind of the same where it's like, oh, hey, come to Florida to my, and I'm not aiming this at you, Chris. I know you've talked a lot about me coming to cons in Florida, but I get a lot of people saying like, oh, come to Orlando, just come here. And it's like, oh, come to Scotland, come to England. And it's like, well, that would be great. I would love to do that. However, I can't. I absolutely cannot start just traveling for every con that gets suggested to me. I want to have disposable income. I want to have a trust fund set up for me to just fly everywhere. But you know, it's just not within my means. Nor do I have enough time in the day to give everyone kind of the attention they deserve, honestly. And that's why I get a little nervous about people saying, hey, I'm going to travel like an intense amount of miles to see you at this thing, because I don't want to, I don't know what to do about that. I know with NerdCon and NerdBotCon especially, I'm not at those cons to meet people. Like, I'm at those cons to work. So from the opening of the doors until closing, I am running around like a friggin' chicken with my head cut off. I gotta make sure every act on the stage is introduced. I gotta make sure I've got 3 or 4 costume changes I've got to make throughout the day. I've got to make sure. Sometimes it's technical stuff. Sometimes it's like, if you're a volunteer in any capacity at a convention like NerdCon or NerdBotCon, a lot of times there's other problems that you just got to put out a fire. I basically, for Coslyceum and NerdCon, like, we had to make up that costume contest on the fly. There wasn't a lot of infrastructure there. There wasn't a lot of volunteers that were there to, like, get everyone lined up, make sure their names were pronounced correctly, make sure that they got enough time on stage, make sure that the photographers were there to take the pictures, make sure that the judges knew what criteria to judge on, make sure the judges had a goddamn pen and pencil, like a pen and a piece of paper to write on. Like, all that stuff, I had to figure it out. And I was just supposed to be the host. Like, this stuff isn't, these aren't all Hollywood productions. There's not a $100,000 budget for this stuff. I know with Coslyceum, all the proceeds basically just came through. People bought their tickets, the money went into somebody's hand, and then the person with the money in their hand handed it to a charity. Like, that money wasn't being divvied up among anyone that worked at that convention. It got given away as soon as it was made. So, you know, the people that you see working at these conventions, I'm not saying you need to, like, applaud them as American heroes or something, but there's a lot on their shoulders, and there's not a lot of reward, a tangible reward for it. Yeah, please make a plan. If you're going to a con, make a plan for the entire weekend. Take care of what panels you want to be at, what contests you want to enter, what video game tournaments, what where you want to eat. Like, look into all that stuff, because nobody else is going to lead you through the weekend. You have to be proactive about, I'm going to have a good time on my own or with the group of friends that I traveled with here. Like, you gotta make it happen for yourself. I can't do that for you. Okay, me too, Wraith. I may work up the nerve to ask for a photo. Like, for example, Tim just told me Lynn's going to be at LA Cosplay Con. I may spend a grand total of 25 minutes with Lynn. Like, through bumping into her 5 times. And I'm going to try to spend as much time as I can, knowing that she's been incredibly generous, knowing that she's been, such a loyal and enthusiastic follower. But I can't guarantee that I'm even going to see Lynn. I will. Like, I most likely will. There's a 99% chance that I'm going to, like, definitely talk to and enjoy the presence of Lynn. But, I don't know. Weird things happen at cons. Maybe I get sick. Maybe I have a bad breakfast and by noon I'm throwing up and Lynn doesn't get there until 1 and I've already gone home. I can't guarantee anything. So, sort of when weekends like this past weekend happen and people get their feelings hurt about my lack of attention, or I don't, and the thing is, I don't even really know if that's the issue. I'm getting messages about someone else's feelings, and I don't even know which feelings they are. Nothing's been brought up to me face to face. It's all secondhand. You did a bad thing. Someone feels bad because of something you did, and I never find out what the something was. So, I don't know. I don't know what to do. But, just keep that in mind going to any given convention. You'd be surprised, a lot of guests, they're fans like us with extraordinary stories to share. There's a time and place. Yeah, Stacy, there's a magic moment that can happen at any given con where you walk up and Todd McFarlane, one of my favorite artists, he's at his booth and nobody's there. Nobody gives a shit about Todd McFarlane. An hour ago, he had a line around the corner and out the door, and there were like signs saying, here's the end of the line for Todd McFarlane. But maybe that line dried up, and now he's literally just sitting there playing with his phone. I might be the guy that walks up at the right time and gets to just shoot the shit with Todd McFarlane for an hour and a half. And I go home with his email address, and I end up getting a job at McFarlane Toys. Like, I might be that guy. That might be my experience. But the other 800 people who waited in that line and just got a quick autograph and a handshake, like, that's what they got. And that's all they really should get. I do thank you for always taking the time talking to me and return my messages. Yeah, and Chris, you're a perfect example. You were planning to come out to NerdCon, and, I want to make sure that if someone's traveling to NerdCon, they know that it's near San Diego. However, it's not in San Diego. The airport's in San Diego. You'll land in San Diego. But then you've got to get to Escondido, which is a 40-minute drive if you're in your own car. If you're in a bus, it's like a 2.5-hour drive. So, you're not going to be in a city center where you'll be able to take a quick trolley back to the airport at the end of the con. Like, you've got to make some major travel arrangements, even just to be a few cities away. So I encourage everyone, if they can be at NerdCon, whatever con they want to be at, be there. Yeah, absolutely. But understand what you're investing in. Allow time to get from place to place. At Dragon Con, it can take 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean, scheduling your con schedule, if you're planning on being at 8 panels for 8 hours and you're only going to have 5 minutes of transit time from place to place, you're going to miss every other one of those panels. Oh, she wants a selfie with PGC. Okay. With Lynn, I could see, yeah, okay. We'll talk to Lynn about people coming into my home and meeting my pet that lives in my home. For a lot of people to have the expectation that you're going to be invited into my personal living space, that's a little tricky as well. That's not something I will grant to anyone. So please don't expect that. If you're in LA and expecting to hang out with Loki Hates You, that's a little different than getting an open invite into my home. So let's not put that idea into people's heads, please. I think you get super excited about meeting you guys on the chat. Can nerd out together. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I spend more time with you guys on the chats than I can at the cons most of the time anyways. Why do some fans feel entitled to attention? You know, the thing is, I try to make people feel welcome to attention, but it's the attention that I'm giving. You know, it's this attention. It's the attention that I can give you through a microphone and a camera. That way, literally as soon as the hour's over, I can say, okay, guys, gotta go, and it's nothing hugely personal for you. Whereas, if I meet up with you after you've traveled from the East Coast or from another country to visit LA, and I say, well, I can get together with you for an hour at a predetermined coffee shop and sit down with you. At the end of that hour, you may say to yourself, I spent 8 times that amount of time traveling here. This was not worth it. This was not worth coming to LA over. Loki Hates You is a total dick for, like, only being able to give me an hour after I've given him so much. Like, I cannot split my attention between however many people are here right now. It could be 40 people. Like, that could be my whole week. That could be my whole week, is just spending an hour with each one of you guys. Let's see. Escondido. Dead Purple. Don't give me that bullshit. I'll only really be up for the con. All my vacation days for the year are used. Very long story short, thank you for everything that you've done. Hey, no problem, Chris. Shocked and amazed getting an hour with you. Pam, I would love to if you were ever in town, I would love to set aside an hour for you. Like, especially if it's not on a con weekend. But yeah, like, I can't guarantee it. But yeah, don't plan anything around me. Plan things around the things that are huge events, and if I'm there, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a little time to say hi. Go to Disneyland. Come to LA for Disneyland. Universal Studios. Come to LA to spend a day at Venice Beach. Come to LA to hike Griffith Park. Do all that stuff. Just do a day of each one of those things, and, you know, I'll make what time I can for you. Kicks me off. I don't even do this. I don't know. Respect the boundary. Gracias. I can't understand why people would expect more than that. Yeah, it's people get excited, and I love that. I love people getting excited. But I'm just one dude. I got my own personal life. I got a bunch of things that I need to do. Just this morning, up until a half an hour before this broadcast, I was taking my online classes because the whole rest of the day, I'm like pretty much hanging up with you guys. I gotta go run a bunch of errands. I'm going to pick up Steven from the airport. And then, I'm not even gonna get to spend time with him. We're gonna have to figure out some time to, like, get him from place to place, but, like, I got a bunch of shit I need to do today. So, he's gonna be in town. I'm essentially gonna drop him off somewhere. He's not even staying with me this weekend. So, it's hard. Like, you know, we'll get together for the con, and then we're going our separate ways for, like, the evenings, which isn't normally our situation. But this is a particularly... Yes, Kat, he's flying into LA. He got held up day before yesterday. He wasn't able to... The flights were delayed going from Memphis to Fresno. So he just said, well, let's just get a different flight from Memphis to LA, and it'll save him some time. Let's see. So, that's where we are. That's how we stand right now. But I wanted to bring up those two things. One, the question from Eric about I want to get into cosplay, but I don't have all these resources, and I don't have a lot of, like, I don't know, pull in the community. Don't worry about pull in the community. Just make the fucking costume and wear it. And whatever happens, happens. Have a good time. Shrug off the haters and fucking try to be positive. Make some new friends. Be social. See the sights and crew. Tim, there will absolutely be time for Lynn. I'm not saying that we're going to have a whole day of chumming around, but there's going to be time for Lynn, and I trust Lynn. I mean, obviously, Lynn has my address anyways, so I trust her enough to give her that. But I would not be surprised to have someone meet me at a con and be like, hey, I'd like to hang out after this. Can we go back to your place? Like, it would be, of course, a little surprising, but that sort of thing seems like it could happen, where people are just like, we're friends. We're good friends. Like, you trust me, right? I've been on your chat things. So we're friends. And it's like, well, I can't do that with you. Sorry. Sometimes when it comes down to giving someone attention, real quick about NerdCon, haven't got my ticket yet. Honestly, which would be better to get, the VIP or the regular? I won't say this about a lot of conventions, but for NerdCon, I do recommend the VIP, because what's going to happen on Saturday night is around 6 or 7 o'clock, they're going to be shutting down a whole room and then turning it into the after party. And the after party doesn't even go that... I mean, it's going to go until probably midnight or something like that, but that's worth being at. Their after party last year was awesome, and they had a great band play, and they're going to have another great... they're going to have, I think, DJ Chris is coming this year is what they're planning on. No guarantees, though. But definitely do the VIP pass for this year, because there's going to be big chunks of the con that you're not going to be able to access that are worth it, that are worth the extra, I don't know, $5 or $10 or something. The general admission passes I would recommend for someone who's stopping in for the day, and you've got kids and you have to leave by like 4 p.m. anyways. But the VIP pass is definitely something I'd recommend for someone who's going to be trying to spend their whole weekend doing the con seriously, without being hindered by a bunch of dependents. 2 to 3 inches of snow. Come on, guys, it's not fair when people expect long social meetings when they're a complete stranger. Yeah, Keith, don't worry about it. Like, this isn't a serious problem. It's just something that happened to have come up this weekend. Steven is not here right now. Steven will be here for the 6 p.m. We'll actually be doing it from my house. Jeez, Danielle. He's on a plane. Lay off him. So, time is 12:58, March 24th, 2016. Got a couple minutes left. Covered a lot today. Getting hungry, actually. What am I gonna eat for lunch? Oh, I'm gonna have some chicken, because that's what I always have. Oh, you hope you'll be able to make the 6 p.m. Well, I mean, I know it's exciting to be in the chat room and stuff, but I'll say what I always say. If you can't make the 6 p.m., it's just going to be online later. So, just, you know, make it if you can, and if not, then watch it later. It ain't going to kill you, right? You'll be fine. You'll be alright. Okay. It's 12:59. It's about to turn 1 o'clock. I'll see you guys in about 5 hours. Teddy Bear. Oh, Teddy Bear, you're coming in right at the end. Marie McQuestion time. Yes, there will be another broadcast later today in 5 hours. So, have a good night. Miss you guys. Love you. Bye-bye.